Welcome to Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at today's major stories. Presidency reacts to Tinubu'S poisoning allegation. INEC to align party regulations, guidelines with Electoral Act. Plus, US announces destruction of Iranian force headquarters. We'll bring you details of the stories and more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. Many thanks for staying tuned. First in the news this morning is that the presidency has dismissed a viral video alleging that a chef attached to the presidential villa was arrested over an alleged plot to poison President Bola Tinubu, describing it as false. The video, which gained traction across social media platforms, claimed the security operative had arrested the alleged culprit, a member of the presidential kitchen staff, following intelligence reports of suspicious activities linked to a food preparation within restricted areas of the villa. The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, described the video as fake news, stressing that the story was entirely fabricated and should be discarded. He urged the public to rely on official communication channels for verified information, warning against the spread of unsubstantiated reports capable of causing unnecessary panic. Away from that, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Tinubu, has called on members of the National Assembly to remember their moral and spiritual accountability to God as they make laws for the nation. She gave the admonition during the dedication and commissioning of the National Assembly Chapel in Abuja, a project built by the National Assembly Christian Legislative Fellowship within the legislative complex. Addressing lawmakers, clergy and government officials, the First Lady described the event as both historic and deeply personal, recalling a 12-year tenure in the Senate when Christian legislators held fellowship meetings in the committee rooms due to absence of a dedicated worship space. Oluremi noted that this chapel stands as a solemn reminder that while lawmakers exercise constitutional authorities on behalf of millions of Nigerians, they remain accountable to a higher divine authority. She prayed that the facility would nurture humility, moral courage, and compassion among leaders. Let's move now to the Red Chambers, where the Senate leader, Okoyemi Bamidele, has pledged a 1 billion naira research grant to the newly established Federal University of Technology and Environmental Sciences in Ekiti, as the institution matriculated 1,563 pioneer students. Bamidele said the donation, which will be disbursed at 200 million naira annually for 5 years, aims to support cutting-edge research and position the university as a hub for innovation and technological advancement. The lawmaker made the pledge during the matriculation ceremony of the university, describing research as the backbone of any world-class institution and a critical driver of national development. He commended President Bola Tinubu for signing the enabling bill that established the university into law in February 2025, noting that the institution would play a strategic role in enhancing Nigeria's global competitiveness. On electoral matters, The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor George Amipotong, has assured Nigerians that electronic transmission of election results will not be a challenge in the 2027 general election. The INEC chairman stressed that necessary measures have been put in place to ensure credible polls in 2027. Amipotang spoke during a citizens' town hall meeting organized by Civil Society Network on Election Integrity in Abuja. Addressing concerns over result transmission, he said the Commission has the capacity to transmit results electronically and dismissed fears of network-related problems. He further reassured Nigerians that technical hitches experienced in previous elections, particularly the 2023 general election, have been resolved. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will align its political party guidelines and regulations with the recently passed Electoral Act 2026 and what it calls emerging realities. In a statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Adedayo Okutola, the exercise represents a critical phase in the Commission's ongoing reform aimed at strengthening political party oversight, improving compliance culture, reducing pre-election disputes, and enhancing public confidence in Nigeria's democratic process. The statement noted that technical workshop on the revision of the INEC regulations and guidelines for political parties is being organized and will bring together national commissioners and directors across operational departments, legal experts, election administrators, and institutional stakeholders to undertake a detailed clause-by-clause review of the existing framework which was published in 2022. According to the statement, the recently enacted Electoral Act 2026 introduces significant legal and operational changes affecting political party administration, candidate nomination processes, compliance obligations, dispute resolution mechanisms, and the Commission's regulatory mandate. In politics, ahead of the National Convention of the ruling All Progressive Congress APC, selected for the 27th and 28th of March, the party is set to hold its state congresses on Tuesday, March the 3rd. This is coming on the heels of the successful completion of the World Congresses and local government congresses. This comes along with the election of 3 delegates per local government for the National Convention. The adjusted APC 2026 schedule of nationwide congresses, National Convention and related activities signed by the party's National Organizing Secretary, Suleiman Mohammed, showed that the state congresses are selected to hold on Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026, while the appeal arising from the congresses will be heard on Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. The party also fixed the inauguration of zonal congresses, screening and screening appeal committees, zonal congresses and zonal congresses appeal committees, and national convention screening and screening appeal committees for Monday, March 23rd, 2026. On security matters, as tension heightened in the Middle East following the United States and Israel's war on Iran, the Acting Inspector General of Police, IGP, Olatunji Disu, has put state commands on red alert to prevent worsening internal security challenges. Specifically, commissioners of police in the Northwest, Northeast, and North Central zones have been asked to heighten surveillance and intelligence gathering strengthen collaboration with traditional and religious leaders, enhance visibility policing around worship centers and public spaces, as well as swiftly address any attempts by individuals or groups to exploit global development to ignite unrest or sectarian tension. The directive was contained in a statement by the Force Public Relations Officer, Acting ACP Benjamin Hundeyin, where the IGP reassured Nigerians of the service's commitment to protecting lives and property and national peace. The IGP called on community leaders nationwide to continue promoting peace and urged citizens to remain calm, vigilant, law-abiding, and report any suspicious activity to the nearest police formation. Let's move now to Africa, where the campaign for next month's presidential election in Congo, Brazzaville has begun, with the 82-year-old president Denis Sassou seemingly assured of extending his decades in power. The career military officer first led Congo under the one-party system from 1979 to 1992 before losing the country's first multi-party elections to former Prime Minister Pascal Lissouba. He overthrew Lissouba in a civil war to return to power in 1997. Recall that earlier this month, Nguesso announced he would be seeking a new 5-year term, which, according to the Constitution, would be his last. The campaigns will end on March 13, with the first round of voting on March the 15th. On a foreign news this morning, United States says it had destroyed the headquarters of Iran's powerful Revolutionary Guard Force, but also announced the first U.S. fatalities in the war to overturn the Iranian government. The U.S. Central Command announced the Guard headquarters destruction in a statement on X. Reports say the U.S.-Israeli campaign began Saturday with bombing that reportedly killed Iran's supreme leader. Meanwhile, Iran has retaliated with missiles and drone attacks on countries across the Middle East, with explosions reported in Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Oman, and Israel. On the foreign scene, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said that the United Kingdom has agreed to a US request to use military bases for defensive strikes on Iranian missile sites. But the Prime Minister said the UK had learned lessons from the mistake of Iraq and was not involved in the initial strike on Iran and will not join offensive action now. He said the basis of the decision to accept the U.S. request was the collective self-defense of allies and protecting British lives, accusing Iran of pursuing a scorched earth strategy. Starmer, who argued that the move was in accordance with international law, said U.S. will use the UK bases for the specific and limited defensive purpose of destroying Iran's missiles at source. Still to come in the news. Arsenal beat Chelsea, re-establishes 5-point gap ahead of Man City. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now let's go over to the concluding parts of today's stories. On our business news, the federal government has signed a $1.3 billion foreign direct investment memorandum of understanding with the African Finance Corporation AFC to jointly finance 3 projects in the country's mining sector. The agreement tagged the Alumni project will be executed through the Solid Minerals Development Fund (SMDF) as both a comprehensive geoscience map initiative and an investment vehicle. In a statement issued in Abuja, the Special Assistant on Media to the Minister of Solid Minerals, Segun Tomari, said the MOU marked the culmination of discussions between AFC and SMDF on co-funding arrangement. Speaking at the signing ceremony, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, described the initiative as a landmark transaction capable of repositioning the mining industry and raising its contribution to the nation's gross domestic product. Still in business, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has welcomed the latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) showing that Nigeria's real gross domestic product grew by 4.7% in the fourth quarter of 2025. In a statement signed by Assistant Director of Information and Public Relations, Uloma Amandi, Edun described the growth as a sign of broad-based economic expansion and strengthening macroeconomic stability under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu. Edun noted that growth in the fourth quarter was supported by 3 major sectors of the economy. The minister highlighted that approximately 30 subsectors recorded growth above 3%, showing the breadth and increasing diversification of the expansion. In health, the Chief Judge of Ogun State, Justice Moshumola Dipolu, has called for stronger collaboration among stakeholders, including the police, lawyers, judges, relevant government agencies, and non-profit organizations to address sexual violence in the country. Dipolu also advocated the adoption of technology such as the use of video link facilities in sexual violence cases to allow witnesses, particularly children or traumatized survivors, to testify from separated rooms, thereby reducing the trauma of confronting the accused in open court. She said the judiciary occupies a pivotal and inaccessible position in the fight against sexual violence and must remain committed to ensuring that courts become fortresses for survivors, while offenders are adequately punished to serve as a deterrent to others. The Chief Judge, who was represented by Justice Funke Odungbanjo, met the call in Abeokuta at a stakeholders gathering themed Strengthening Laws, Policies and Institutional Coordination to Improve Justice Delivery in Sexual Violence Cases. Let's move now to sports, where Arsenal have re-established a 5-point lead at the top of the Premier League after they ate out Chelsea 2-1 yesterday. Mikel Arteta's men took the lead against Chelsea after Williams Saliba's header went in off Mamadou Sarr. But the Blues were level before the break thanks to Piero Hensapin's own goal. Jarin Timber headed in Arsenal's winner, taking them up to 64 points with 9 fixtures left. Still in sport, Alex Iwobi was on target as Fulham continued their push for a European place with a 2-1 win over Tottenham Hotspur at the Stadium of Light. Iwobi has now scored twice in his last 2 league appearances for the Cottage. The 29-year-old has registered 4 goals and 3 assists in 22 leagues outing for Fulham this season. On entertainment news, the management of Michelle Mukoro, popularly known as King Michi, has said that the influencer is alive, withdrawing an early announcement claiming she had died. Recall that the controversy erupted amid a heated social media clash between Michi and Very Dark Man of allegations surrounding her charitable works. The dispute reportedly resulted in the loss of Michi's business Instagram account. In a disturbing live video, the influencer was seen consuming a substance believed to be a bleach product. Her management, however, said she is okay. And that's all we have for you today on the News Bulletin at 10. Do ensure to follow us on all our social media handles, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website at spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James. Do enjoy the rest of your day and Happy New Month.